It's kind of the same thing with video games, I would say. But I think a lot of the people that have survived, that have gone on to be in their 30s, a lot of them became known in their 20s. But I think what keeps their longevity is their, what they're talking about lyrically. They have a strong name, a good brand, and a lot of it has to do with how their flow is, and let's see. I think the most recent trend that I've seen is an artist that makes it in hip hop will become ageless, not by necessarily continuing on, for 20 odd years or something and being commercial and them being known, but they will, say, put out 2 or 3 albums and then become a producer or find other talent within the label.
Wow.
They'll go out and find people and they'll, with their gift, create music for this up and coming young person.
Right.
And get them a name, and at the same time they're receiving royalties. So in that way, there's a lot of them that are still involved in what's going on. But meanwhile, the face is still young.
Wow.
So.
Interesting. Well, since we're talking about hip hop, what is your? I know you said you listen to hip hop, but what do you play most of?
Of what I play?
Yeah, in the band. While you were in the band, what did you guys play most of?
Okay, in Daydreamer, sure. We played what we called ambient worship, and that was kind of a label that we just came up with because we had to.
What did you say? Ambient?
Ambient, yes.
Interesting. What exactly does ambient mean? I'm just wanting to make sure we're in the same.
Here, let me get my
Do
iPhone
you
to find out.
Okay.
As a dictionary term, I wouldn't be able to describe it to you very well. As far as what we did as a band, that we would call that, it had a lot to do with textures and different types of noise and sound.
Okay.
Okay. It wasn't just, a straight guitar, piano, drums, and bass.
Gotcha.
It wasn't like that. It was.
The manifold grace
we
of
were
God.
very experimental with our instruments, looking at creating different sounds, for the ear. It was just as much about that as it was about the song content.
Good.
So
Good.
that's the best description I can give.
Okay, Marty, where do you see music going? I'm sure that music's been here since the days of in Genesis, where it talks about men went under the earth to find iron. Next thing you know, you're reading about instruments and things being made. So I don't think they just start digging to be digging. I think God gave them some wisdom, and then somebody started blowing in the pipe one day and said, "Hey, this makes a sound." Isn't it amazing how the Lord just gave us so much wisdom to be able to develop and to find things, and look what we have today. Man, isn't that amazing?
It is.
Absolutely.
So where do you envision, or where do you see music as a whole going, and how do you see it affecting generations to come?
I think because music is so culturally diverse, I think we more and more as a worldwide society become more integrated. Music will become more and more diverse. Just as 25 years ago, rap was a new thing. Now it's kind of like, oh, what, rap? Just another category with all the rest. But 20 years ago, 25 years ago, what, rap, what? So I think music will continue to become more diverse. You're hearing more about things like reggaeton. As Hispanic culture becomes more prevalent. 10, 15 years ago, it was reggae music and Caribbean music. As that culture became more prevalent, so we're just seeing more and more things because it is the creativity of the Lord while all of this stuff exists, and so it's just us as the Lord's people to understand that it's different. It's just different, not anything like demonic, and there is things that are demonic within, you know, each culture. But upon just hearing it, we can't take that stance like, oh, that's of the devil. Well, we got to be able to say, you know, God is creative.
Right.
You know, there are probably hundreds of cultures we haven't even experienced yet. You know, that have music and have certain types of instruments that, you know, we will, as this world becomes more and more connected and more integrated, we'll be able to come across those things.
I remember one time I was at this Indian, what we actually call it is a powwow. And some of my indigenous friends will get around and basically they'll show us some dances they do. And very masculine, you know, a lot of stomping, a lot of movement of the body, and a lot of making screams and ah!
A lot of strong movements.
So, you know, I had fun. I mean, we were just by the
Yeah.
campfire, and we just, man, we had a bunch of fun. But we got talking afterwards one day, and one of the guys who was one of my indigenous friends, he said, man, who in the world invented polyester? You know, he says, it's always, it's just me, and he was just going about, he was going about talking about polyester. So I say that because, you know, we looked at the history of who invented polyester, and man, we just had a, you know, we just had a laugh out. I mean, it was just so funny. We just fell out laughing at all the stuff that was said. But I'm just saying that to say that every culture, it does have a place, you know, within knitting things together, and especially in music. So what you said about the various types of music that different cultures are branching into now, and how things are coming together, you know, I definitely see that as God. You know, because the Bible says in Revelations, you know, there was one tribe, one nation, one tongue before the throne. You know, and but yet there was many cultures, you know, before the throne. So it sounded to me like, you know, eventually we're going to see a unity of the Lord, and how He's going to connect the spirit of cultures together to minister life into, you know, those who are needing it. Did you have something you wanted to say? I heard you say earlier when Amadi was listing some of those names. You're like, I like that. What exactly did you like about what Amadi was saying?
I was talking about the reggaeton reference that he had there. Yeah, I really like that blend. It's got a strong, hard beat, but yet, you know, real good. I enjoy that, and I'm hearing it not just from Latinos, but it's starting to infiltrate. It's an ocean out there, you know. There's a lot of people now that are combining styles, you know. It's been going on for a little while, but even more so now than ever, I think it's more prevalent. You know, Coldplay's using Indian music, they're using tablas and percussion, you know, and they're a British rock band, you know. You know, there's rappers that are asking him to go. I mean, he's done stuff with Kanye West, you know. There's rappers that are asking, you know, rock artists to go play with them. So, I mean, I think a lot of what's happening now is it's not this mountain and this mountain and this mountain, you know. I think it's all kind of in a good way.
Right. Yeah.
Mixing it together.
You know, the amazing thing is, why is it that the world precedes the church in these areas? What should I say? Let me retract what I just said. They're the forerunners. Should I say the church precedes the world in this area? When it comes to sound, when it comes to just bringing about a creative new sound, when it comes to, like you just said, Nicholas, you have a large group in the UK that's known throughout the United States, like Coldplay or U2, and they're coming together with hip-hop artists and developing songs together. Why is it that we don't get this revelation in the church where, you know, different cultures can bring different dimensions and we can make a sound for the Lord? Because most of the Christian music I listen to, not all of it, because there's some good, unique, creative Christian music coming out of the heart of many musicians in this hour, but most of it sounds alike. When you hear one song, you know what's the melody going to be for the next one. It's almost like everything, you know, mostly a lot of times it just basically sounds alike. And that lets me know that, you know, music is sort of being mimicked. And I always see this happening, especially when the church try to copy the world. They're mimicking their music.